Have you ever made the absolute right call only to have it completely blow up in your face? Or maybe the opposite, you got lucky with a bad decision. Well, today we're going to dig into a really powerful leadership framework that teaches us how to stop confusing luck with skill. We're going to break down how elite teams learn to judge the decision, not just the final outcome.
So how do we actually know if a decision was good or bad? For most of us, our default is just to look at the result, right? If it worked, it was a good decision. If it failed, it was a bad one. But that simple logic, that's what we call the outcome trap. And believe me, it can totally sabotage your long-term success. All right, take this scenario with the superstar Caitlin Clark. She pulls up from way deep with 22 seconds still left on the shot clock. No passes have been made, and her team is already way ahead on the scoreboard. It goes in. The crowd goes wild. So, was that a good shot? Our first instinct is to scream yes because, hey, the ball went through the hoop. But the real answer is way more complicated.
And this really highlights two totally different ways of thinking. On one side, you can judge the outcome. The shot went in, the crowd cheered, it feels like a huge win. But on the other side, you can judge the decision itself. Was it consistent with the team's principles? Taking a shot that early completely cuts out her teammates. The danger here is crystal clear. When we judge a decision just by its outcome, we risk reinforcing some really bad habits.
This brings us right to the core idea of this entire explainer, the critical distinction between your process and your result. And understanding this, well, that's the very first step to building a truly elite culture.
So, what do we even mean by process? Think of it as your way. It's the sum of all your decisions and your winning habits. It's the standard you set for how you operate day in and day out, no matter what the scoreboard happens to say.
Now, when you pair your process with the results, four possibilities emerge. A good process can lead to a good result, that's the ideal of course, but it can also lead to a bad one. A bad process can also lead to a bad result, or, and this is the most dangerous one, a good one. Knowing which of these four quadrants you're in is absolutely key to effective leadership.
To make this all really concrete, we can actually map those four possibilities onto a performance matrix. This is such a powerful tool for any leader to diagnose what's really happening on their team and, even more importantly, how to manage it.
Let's start with our first scenario, a desired process that leads to an undesired result. This is when you do everything right. You follow the game plan, you live out your values, and you still come up short.
I mean, think about it. You can play textbook perfect defense on an MVP like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and he might still hit some impossible, ridiculous shot. Or, off the court, maybe you give some tough, honest feedback, which is the right thing to do, but a teammate takes it personally. You did the right thing, but the outcome just wasn't what you wanted.
So in this situation, the leader's job is to build what's called competitive stamina. You have to praise the process, you have to reinforce those right behaviors, and you have to keep the team's belief high, especially when the results aren't there to back you up.
And that focus on process, well, that eventually leads us to the ideal state, the top right quadrant. This is where your desired process delivers a desired result. This is the sweet spot. Just take the 2021 OKC Thunder. Despite a losing record, they executed a flawless play for a game winner and celebrated like it was the championship. They weren't celebrating the win in a lost season, no. They were celebrating the execution. That's a process-driven culture. This is the same as a leader modeling vulnerability, creating a space for the whole team to open up. It's alignment at its very best.
Okay, now for the bottom half of our matrix. The lower left quadrant is the most straightforward one to coach, an undesired process that leads to an undesired result. Bad habits, bad outcome. Simple. This is where those quick, unpassed shots from earlier end up when they don't go in. And here, the result actually does all the heavy lifting for the coach. It's easy to point to the scoreboard and just say, see, that way of playing doesn't work. The negative outcome reinforces the coaching point for you. But this last quadrant, oh man, this is the coach killer, an undesired process that somehow leads to a desired result. This is when you get rewarded for doing the wrong thing, and it is the absolute hardest situation for any leader to navigate. Let's put you right in the coach's shoes. The game is over, you've won. Your star player, Caitlin Clark, is one rebound away from a triple-double and asked to go back in just to get it. The crowd wants it, the stats would look great. What do? This is a direct test of what you value more, the process or the outcome. So now that we've seen the matrix, let's actually talk about the application. How does a leader actually manage these moments, especially the toughest ones? And this gets right to the core of the challenge.
The hardest moments in leadership are when your voice and your principles have to be stronger than the signal the outcome is sending. This right here is where your culture is either built or completely broken.
So in that Caitlin Clark example, the coach put her back in. She got the rebound, the crowd gave a standing ovation, and the team celebrated an individual stat. In that single moment, a flashy result was prioritized over the team process, and that sends a really powerful message to everyone watching.
Now, contrast that with this. Running back Saquon Barkley is just 13 yards away from a personal career high. His coach gives him the option to go back in and get it, but he says, no, I'd rather see the young boys eat. He chose the team process over an individual result, even when a desirable outcome was right there for the taking. Which one of those actions builds a stronger team?
Ultimately, these individual moments are the building blocks of your entire culture. Managing them correctly, day after day, is how you define what winning truly looks like for your organization.
This whole idea was captured perfectly by two-time national champion coach Jay Wright. He said, the goal isn't just to have talented players, it's to get your most talented players to be the most committed to your core values. Because when your best people are also your best examples, that's when you have something truly special.
And this is the ultimate payoff. When you build a culture this strong, the outside can't separate the inside. The Oklahoma City Thunder are a perfect example of this. During post-game interviews, when one player is talking, the whole team gathers around them. It sends a clear message. We are one. We don't let outside noise, individual stats, or praise divide us.
So we'll leave you with this one question to reflect on. In your own environment, whether it's in sports, business, or your family, what gets celebrated? Is it the flashy outcome, the number on the scoreboard, or is it the consistent, disciplined, and often unglamorous process that truly leads to sustainable success? The answer to that, well, it reveals everything.